Hello and welcome to this session about level descriptors and Ofqual level gradings, if you like. So we all know that each qualification in the RQF has 9 levels, 3 being an entry, then level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the 3 under the entry count as kind of one level, which is the entrance requirements. So what I want to do is just spend a little bit of time discussing how that translates for a teacher into what we're looking for in the knowledge that they're meant to have, but also when we're making a judgment around the skills. And this is really important because I end up in a lot of debates with people around the fact they go, oh yeah, but that meets the standard. And I'm like, well, yeah, it might meet the standard, but it hasn't met the Ofqual level descriptor. And actually, that's what Ofsted are interested in. They're interested in whether the descriptor that they have said it should meet meets. So under the RQF, in 2015, there was obviously this change, and they brought out better clarifications, as it were, to around what helps meet the descriptors. So we'll just go through some of those, just so you're aware that when we talk about kind of sufficient, what sufficient might look like. So in entry-level qualifications, so maybe we'll think about functional skills E1 to E3. So in E1, the knowledge that they should have really is the beginning knowledge. It's about them showing that they can use an elementary level of knowledge and understanding to come up with an answer. Now, the answer doesn't necessarily have to be the right answer if the process behind the knowledge has got them there. And it's about the fact that they can use a set of processes to help them understand the way of thinking to come up with the knowledge descriptor. On the performance side, it says that they should use or be able to perform the most elementary of tasks. So this is, for example, the most simplest of skills that should be identified under the skills descriptors. So again, showing that they can do a task, but it doesn't have to be anywhere near a range that shows a depth. It's just showing an elementary level. Now at E2, on the other hand, it jumps up a little bit. So we start to look at having a basic level of knowledge and or understanding, and that they can relate how that knowledge and understanding relates to subject matters that are familiar, and they can relate it to the task, and that within their knowledge they understand that certain things have steps and processes. So that's kind of E2, what they're looking at. And then under the descriptors for skills and what they should be doing is looking at the fact that they can carry out simple tasks and follow instructions to get those tasks done. Now in here, they're allowed to use rehearsed steps. So it can almost be parrot fashion, and that's absolutely fine. But again, the task becomes a little bit more complicated with a slight more understanding around the activities that they're doing on the entrance levels. Now, E3 suggests that they have knowledge and understanding to carry out structured tasks and activities in a familiar context, and that they can understand the steps needed to complete structured tasks with familiar contexts. So again, we've moved away from kind of just having a broad basic understanding to having a very processed level and understanding, and that they understand sequences. So meaning on the performance side, they have to be able to carry out structured tasks and activities and be aware of a consequence if they don't follow that task or activity. So beforehand, they could do rehearsed steps and almost just mechanically get through a process. At E3, they need to be able to follow those processes and now understand a consequence or a risk. So a far more detailed level of knowledge and understanding required. So there are entrance levels. Now, at level 1, they can demonstrate a basic factual knowledge of a subject and or knowledge matter, that they can identify facts, procedures, and identify well-defined routine tasks and address simple problems. It is assumed that they can access a range of information and start to weigh up information. So at this point, they're really using some of their thinking skills, ability to look at ranges of evidence and pulling that together to link it to processes. Now, on the practical side, they have to then be able to demonstrate a basic cognitive principles and skills, so they can truly demonstrate that they thought a task through from beginning to end, that they can link that task back to ideas and relevant information, so they can start linking tasks to theory, to policies and procedures. And they can identify whether their actions would have been effective, so they can start to almost weigh up some level of risk. Now, at level 2, they've shown that the knowledge and understanding of facts, procedures and ideas in their area of study, and that they can complete well-defined tasks, address straightforward problems, they can interpret relevant information and ideas, and they're aware of ranges of information and ideas that are out there. So now in their writing, it's very concise. We're getting straight to the point on subject matters and be able to link things to and from. They're able to demonstrate proper facts and proper processes at level 2, and that they can link those ideas all together into the work base of learning. Under the practical tasks that they're expected to be able to do at level 2, they're meant to be able to select and use relevant cognitive and practical skills. So again, they can think about what they're doing and they know that they're doing the right skill for the right task. They can define those skills, they can identify and gather and use relevant information and to inform others about what they're doing and why they're doing it. And they then know how to effectively action their ideas and to be able to ask further probing questions. So within their practical tasks now, they're far more rounded. They know what they're doing, they have trust and confidence in what they're doing, and they can apply the theory to the task. So at level 2, it's got to a real sensible demonstration of skills and theory linking the two. Now at level 3, they're meant to be able to demonstrate theoretical knowledge, facts, processes and address work problems. They're meant to be able to identify complex and interpret and evaluate information. They're meant to be able to do that in a way that links to their area of study and shows different thought processes in approaches, so looking at things in different ways, so almost like an analyse, but that's kind of where we're at. So at level 3, we're now looking at factual awareness, theory, knowledge, complex problems and interpreting and evaluating. Meaning, if the learner has never linked a theory to a practice, have they actually met the level descriptor in their qualification? So if we're looking at levels, if we're looking at, say for example, communication methods, they should be really linking Egan and Solar to that. So they can say, you know, when I communicate to somebody, I sit upright, I give them eye contact. I do this because Egan says it's the best way to communicate. Self-development, if I'm doing reflective cycles, then maybe Gibbs or Ralph is the way to go. So we're linking that to it. On the practical side, they're meant to be able to then select the appropriate methods of doing the task, addressing it with the right skills to complete the task, complete complex routine tasks. They should be able to problem solve, so carry out investigations. And at level 3, they should be able to review other methods and safer ways of working. So a real performance side going on here and proper reflective practice. Now, at level 4, theory and knowledge, they're meant to look at their practical, theoretical and technical knowledge now. They're meant to be able to carry out analysis and analysing data. They're meant to be looking at natural ways of working, identifying theoretical frameworks and using appropriate ranges of evidence to support their ideas. They're looking at ways where they've had their ideas informed and what changes their ways of working by using informed awareness. So again, in their theory answers, there should be a lot more going on behind a single answer, clearly demonstrating a 2 or 3 line answer isn't sufficient at level 4. The skills required for this are about by identifying, adapting and using appropriate cognitive and practical skills to inform their actions. They're meant to be able to address problems for complex and routines, and they're meant to be able to do that in a well-defined way. They need to be able to review the effectiveness of their approaches and the appropriateness of the methods, and be able to analyse the results of what it is they're going to do and why they're going to do it. So quite complex skills being used at level 4. And then finally at level 5, they're meant to be able to use practical, theoretical, technical knowledge and understanding in a subject field of work. They need to find out ways forward to broaden and define complex tasks. They're meant to be able to analyse, interpret, evaluate and inform others of concepts and ideas. They're meant to look about ways of working that link to their scope of study. They need to be able to identify different understandings and different perspectives to what they thought. They need to use a lot more thought and reasoning behind them. So in other words, they can't just simply say, we do this because. There has to be some real evidence-based practice behind any of their theoretical knowledge. The skills required at level 5 mean that they should be able to adapt their methods to meet complex needs. They're meant to be able to define those complex, carry out research, carry out development, and evaluate the actions of what they're doing for themselves and others. So at this point, a truly academic style should be used. So, when we when we give feedback to answers, it's important that not only are we giving feedback to the learning outcome, but truly are they meeting the level descriptor as identified by Ofqual for the skills and the knowledge that they should have at that level. So bear that in mind next time you mark a piece of work. Try and challenge some of those ideas to make sure that they're meeting the Ofqual level descriptors as well as the tasks identified by the awarding organisations.